There are two things I leave with people often, and one is that you're stronger than you think. Go with that, remember it, and know that regardless of how hard it might get on the course, no matter how hard it might be to stick with this after when you don't have this community on a weekly engagement, no matter what, you're stronger than you think. Goals can be intimidating. Just believe in yourself and have that confidence and stay the course with what your goals are in that path. The other one is that, and this one I had embroidered on the inside of my son's baseball glove because it's very important, and it's never give up.
Welcome everyone to the LubDub Show, brought to you by the Providence Heart to Start program and the Oregon Brewery Running Series. The LubDub is a weekly podcast and interactive video show where we talk to experts about all things running and walking and hear from some Heart to Start program champions who provide motivation and inspiration on this 12-week fitness journey. Our communities unite in making 2021 the year we become our best, healthiest selves. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nathan Freeberg. I am the co-founder of the Oregon Brewery Running Series, and since 2016, we've been hosting untimed, family-friendly 5K fun runs that start and end at great breweries all over Oregon and Southwest Washington. The Oregon Brewery Running Series is built on a foundation of community, which has grown tremendously through this wonderful partnership with the Providence Heart to Start program for this socially distanced training program and goal event that I mentioned earlier. And while we can't be together in person, or we shouldn't be, we hope that this distance actually makes our hearts grow stronger. This is week 12, as I mentioned, week 12 of the LubDub Show. It's crazy to think that our time together is coming to an end. Be sure to go back and listen to some of our past episodes where we talked to some absolutely inspiring and motivational Heart to Start program champions who shared all kinds of just really uplifting messages with us, as well as a whole bunch of experts on things like finding the right gear, knowing how to stretch and taking care of injuries, and focusing on like the mental side of this and the nutrition part of it, all kinds of stuff. Make sure to go check those out. Last week, we got to hear from Eric Marchek, who is the Clinical Operations Manager for the Providence Sports Medicine Program. We talked about aches and pains. I don't know if any of you are experiencing any of those through this training program. I know I am. But he gave us some good tips about just how to pay attention to our bodies, how to understand when we might need to perhaps go see a professional or just stretch more or ice or take a day off or whatever it is, and also shared some great tips about how to stay active long into life. And the key is to stay active. That was his big takeaway, which I really appreciate. Today's episode is going to look a little bit different. We are joined by the one, the only Tracie Rose, who is both our program champion for this evening and our expert speaker. Tracie's the program manager for the Basecamp Prevention and Wellness program at the Providence Heart Institute. And we're going to spend some tonight just hearing a little bit more about Tracie's story. So I don't want to give too much away here, but she was actually a Heart to Start participant before she's in her current role now, so it's pretty cool. We're going to peel the curtain back just a little bit and get to know more of that story, know more about what she does at Providence and how she keeps all these balls in the air. And then we're going to share 5 or 6 or 10, we'll see how many we end up with because we got a lot, tips that are going to help you finish this week on a super high note and then go into race weekend just feeling motivated and prepared and just ready to kill your run, to kill your walk, whatever it is, and to really just put these 12 weeks of training to the test. But before that, I just want to say I'm proud of you. I am incredibly proud of the work that you have done. Right before I looked this up, or we started, I looked it up, and we have just under 31,000 total collective miles that you've all recorded, and only about 24 or 5% of our total participants have recorded that. So if you do the math, that's like over 120,000 miles, assuming everyone is doing as well as you are, that you've done. And I don't even know how many trips that is around the world or what that number equals, but it's impressive, 120,000 miles. So give yourselves a little pat on the back. And you're going to hear this a lot tonight. However you feel going into this race this weekend, you have done the hard work. The training is always the hardest part. I like to think of race day as more of the celebratory part of this. So just enjoy it. Tracie, welcome. How are you this evening?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. Can't
Me
believe we're
too.
here already at week 12.
Well, I'm going to put a different hat on you tonight. You are program champion. Just tell us a little bit, like, what does your day-to-day world look like?
Right. I do a lot of emails, but Hard to Start is a sliver of what I do at Basecamp. So Basecamp Prevention and Wellness is part of the Providence Heart Institute. So it's one of the 3 centers that the Heart Institute has. And I'm super fortunate to have Dr. Beckerman be our medical director over all of our prevention and wellness. And so essentially what that means, we turn and we look at what programming we can offer to the community. This was a visionary opportunity from Dr. Beckerman that came to life, and I'm super fortunate to be a part of what it looks like to build some programming that can reach individuals that may not necessarily be able to access it otherwise. So it's opening their eyes to opportunities and to movement and to activity that maybe isn't part of their normal community, what they see out there, and just making it accessible to everyone. So when we look at that, there's just a lot of programs that we offer with families, with the FIT Project, and with a lot of our movement classes, and everything was all in person. And so it's been a unique setting here the last several months as we have everything online. But what's exciting about that is the reach and the new community that we've built. We've expanded this Basecamp community so much just for the fact that we've had to take it virtual, and how exciting that's been to be able to do that.
Yeah, for folks who don't know, how many states are represented here through this 12-week program?
Through this 12-week program, we have 18 states.
Wow.
Yes.
That's impressive.
Providence reaches 7 of them. But if you looked at us last year, we reached 2. So for Heart to Start. So it's huge. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Tracie, I have some hard-hitting questions here for you this evening.
Okay.
In addition to that, I actually decided to kind of keep the same questions that we've asked all the champions. And it just, I think, fits so nicely with our pre-conversation last week.
Yeah.
So, Tracie, why did you get involved with the Heart to Start program initially?
So how I really got involved with Heart to Start was personally. I will say I was turning 40 and I had been a runner for a long time. I ran cross country in high school, something that was just part of my everyday world for a long time, and just kind of lost track. You know, you become a mom and things shift and injuries happen and this or that. And 40 was, obviously a monumental age. And that was the one thing I put on my I need to do before I turned 40 was to run a 5K again. And if you know me, when I say I'm going to do something, it is going to get done, even if it takes longer or even if it's harder than I wanted. So I did that. I trained by myself. That was not any fun, but I did it. And I think maybe I needed to do that for myself to get going. And I ran the 5K 2 days before I turned 40. And so I accomplished my goal. And I was with a friend celebrating my 40th by a pool. And we were talking about the experience. She had run the 5K with me. And just talking about how I didn't want it to go away, but that the dark months were coming. I couldn't safely. I didn't feel comfortable continuing my training. I craved some connection with people to be able to enjoy training with. And she worked for Providence at the time. I did not. I was completely unaware. And she shared this program. And so we made a date and showed up in a cold November evening at a track at Dunaway Park. And kind of the rest is history. I fell in love with that program. Maybe when I first went out, it was more centered on myself, selfishly a little bit, but I also needed it at that time to be able to continue. But it stuck with me. And so I've been coming back every year. And that's kind of the story of how I got involved with Heart to Start. I don't know how far you want me to go down that path, Nathan.
Well, what I took away from your story, and it's interesting. I was listening to a different podcast about, like, when you interview someone, you don't want to prepare too much so that you know all of their stories. But I think what's so interesting about yours is that you, through that community, it seems like, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but you then started training more and running more and doing more and going further and further, and you jumped from a 5K up to a slightly longer distance, I believe. And if I understand your story, it was this community that got you through that, got you through injury, got you through like all kinds of stuff, to the point where they said, "Here, have a job." I think there's a few more things, a few more steps there.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit about what that was
Yeah.
like, because I know that it's hard anytime you're injured or anytime you can't exercise or anytime you step away from it and then come back. And so it seems like the community was just such a powerful part of the story. And then as you started to become a volunteer, and then it was almost just like, I don't know, it just kind of slowly took over your life, or you took it over. I don't know. Does that make sense?
It's the universe guided it all. Those are the conversations we have behind the scenes. There's several layers in there about maybe like compartmentalize them a little bit and keep them brief. But yeah, so I continued with Heart to Start, and we have these amazing kickoffs, and I'm very passionate about these kickoffs because they had such an impact on me. So when we start and launch a season, I'm remembering what it felt like to be the community member, looking forward to that, clamoring and wanting some amazing message to launch this season. And so there's a lot of passion that goes behind it from my personal experience. And I would say, yeah, I kept training 5Ks. I did a 10K, and it was about that time when suddenly this lady, Myrna Valerio, came into the picture and came for her first visit to the Heart to Start kickoff and was sharing her message. And it really resonated with me. The conversations I was having in my mind of how I love challenges and what she was saying, and my arguments in my mind of I wasn't in a place that I felt was appropriate to try something harder in my training and my running. And she's coming from me from the other direction and saying it's okay and do it anyways. Do what you can do it anyways. And that really, it sat with me, and I tossed around these ideas, and everyone knows that she is this big endurance athlete. And so I kind of went from this interesting path of doing some 5Ks, and I might have done a 10K. I can't remember if I had done one before, but she talked me into it in my mind into a 50K. Myrna.
That's crazy. It's such a jump.
So she and I had a lot of conversations. I was super nervous, but it was the do it anyways. Try it. Do something really big that scares you and see how it goes. So yes, would I recommend that someone go from 5Ks to 50Ks anymore? My body would argue with me that that's probably not the best course of action, but I wanted a challenge, and I took my training really seriously. It almost became a business. But I did have this huge support, and I would not have done it if I wasn't able to reach out to this Heart to Start community, even if we weren't in season, and connect with people. And so during season, it was great training. Out of season, it was great connection and fuel and encouragement. And that's what this community is about. It doesn't stop from after February and start back up again in November. It's long lasting if you want it to be. And that's kind of where you have to make those steps and take those scary moments of introducing yourself and getting to know people, but knowing that after, you're still making those same steps of like, yeah, remember me from Heart to Start? We met around the track or whatever, fostering those relationships, even in this distanced world, because that's the fuel. Those are the things that are going to keep you going while outside this season.
Yeah. Or during a pandemic, you can reach out to people that you've met perhaps through this.
Yeah. So uniquely, fast forward a whole bunch, Basecamp opened. It's amazing. We can tackle that in a few minutes. I volunteered there as a community member because it meant so much to me. And the world just kind of brought things together. And I was doing my own work outside, volunteering there, always participating in Heart to Start. And a position became available that was tossed my way to see if I might want to consider it. And again, I'm just going to use the rest is history. It's just like, it was an amazing opportunity. And, it's hard to describe because I interviewed for it, and I hope that I fought for it because I wanted it so badly. And I'm so glad that I did. And I'm so glad that I have the opportunity. And how crazy it is to think that I went from someone not knowing anything about this program to full circle to being honored to be able to manage this program for Dr. Beckerman now.
Yeah, it seems like you're very heavily invested in this. Talk a little bit more about Basecamp. Like, I was, over the last several months been doing this, I've been shocked to learn how many different programs are involved with Basecamp, and maybe just give a little plug for that if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will start with, it's February 1st, and it is Heart Month, and it's kind of a big deal around here. And so I encourage everyone. We have a great campaign and program and activities offered all month long. So please do take a look at that. It's daily engagement to be able to celebrate yourself, celebrate your community, your commitment to your heart. Your heart is amazing. And there's so much you can do for it. Exercise is one huge component, but there's layers of it in terms of nutrition education that we offer, movement classes. So if you're looking at wanting to add something to your current cardio, that there's options for yoga. If you haven't tried it, it's amazing. We have 4 different practices of yoga. HIIT, which is strength training and high intensity. Even Zumba, if you love a little dance or want to get your kids involved on a Saturday morning, we've got that to offer as well. In addition, we have a lot of connections that we do with our clinical services and our patients to make sure that they're supported. So we come alongside cardiac rehab for their patients as they're coming through and participating in that program. And then as they're coming out, we've got these options available to them to kind of keep them moving and keep them connected as well. The FIT Project is another one, which is our family focus program. So a lot of our services are for the, adults 18 and over. Typically, the FIT Project focuses on the entire family unit. So what you can do as a family to create a great health and wellness plan across all ages. And so we've got some great opportunities with that program as well too. If it's a weekend workshop, that's a couple hours versus a 8-week program right now that we offer a few times a year in Spanish and in English for those that might want to take a little bit of a deeper dive. We also have added in recently more of this wellness focus and the mindfulness. We've always had mindfulness-based stress reduction, which is an amazing class, 6 weeks of just great focus and attention to just being present and recognizing some of the different meditation practices. That's a big word for some people, but she peels it back. Carol does so well to be able to make it very accessible and applicable to your own life. Wellness is for Everyone is another series that we have that really opens your eyes to what wellness is. And there's she has a wellness wheel, she calls it, and it just tackles several areas of life and what wellness looks like when you look at a balanced life. And so it's just a wonderful conversation and interaction and reflection to participate in as well. So there's a lot to offer. Welcome to basecamp.org. Has it all. But we do invite you to take a look at our Heart Month offerings. It's it's definitely one of our favorite times of the year to really focus on some activities, things that might not be available throughout the year that are focused into this one month.
Yeah, I love that focus on wellness because I think it's so important and sometimes overlooked. You and I were talking last week about, just the idea of being active. And sometimes people, I'll speak for myself. Sometimes I get very focused on it's all about running. It's all about, doing one thing. And as we've heard a couple experts talk about, it's really about how do you pay attention to everything, your heart, your soul, your mind, your body, all of it. And so it's cool to hear that you can do that right there at Basecamp. So I might have to check that out myself. Tracie, shifting gears a little bit, it's February 1st. There's 5 days from the kickoff, from the start of our 4 days, I guess, from the start of the Follow Your Heart 5K and 10K. You and I have both done a bunch of races, and so we're going to share 5 tips that we have learned over the years, over time, that I think are just universal. So Tracie, the first one, enjoy the last few days of training. There's a lot packed in here, but how have you tried to do that the final few days or even a week before any of the events you've done?
Yeah, I would say it's taking care of yourself. And for me, I always want to be able to finish that goal. And there's this fear that sets in that something's going to happen, that you can't do it. So it's just being super mindful and not skipping out. If you've got your routine and it's worked for you, stick with that. So the stretching and your nutrition and your sleep, stick with the routines that have gotten you all the way through these 12 weeks. Don't stop that now. Get through your goal event and then decide if you want to change that. But keeping your body in shape to be able to take on your goal is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, for me, that means just like also trusting your training. Like don't try to make up in the last week for, I was, sick or injured. I'm gonna try to make up extra miles or make up extra whatever. Just trust the process, continue to sleep and eat and do all that stuff. And also relax. I think part of that enjoying the last few days, at least for me, like, if I've been doing like a marathon or something, it's just to kind of maybe slow down a little bit. Like, even a 5K or 10K, it's like, okay, I've got this thing coming up. I need to be fresh. How do I relax my body and mind and just, enjoy that process. And the second one, be confident and have fun. I can't speak any more highly about this, especially the having fun part. So fun is one of my personal values. Fun is also in our mission statement at the Oregon Brewery Running Series. And I think that sometimes when people think of fun, they think of like, woohoo, yay, we're having fun. Like, yay, like going down a water slide or whatever. But to me, when you're having fun, when you're in that place where you can say this is fun, like you're relaxed, you're confident, you're comfortable with who you are and what you're doing. And I just think that's so important because ultimately that's what we're trying to do, right? Like if you, at the end of this weekend, if you're done, you're like, that wasn't fun at all, then I don't know, maybe you need to reevaluate. What's your take on confidence and fun?
Yeah. And I'm going to kind of blend something you said in the last one about maybe having messed up your training a little bit and taking that confidence. So life is not perfect. That does not mean because you couldn't do the training the way it's spelled out or the way you had it in your mind does not mean you can't finish this goal. The fact that you started it and you gave it your best, no matter what life handed back to you, finish your goal. And if that means you started and you wanted to run, or you started and you wanted to have a certain pace, or you wanted to do a 10K and things happen, you can only do a 5K, or you're having to walk because running is, you have an injury, or it's just, difficult right now, finish your goal and just enjoy it. Don't take on the burden of everything that you've had up until this point if it's been frustrating or that you miss things. Stay happy, enjoy this, because what you want is you want to instill this sense, you want to have this feeling, and you want to remember this feeling so that you continue it beyond this goal event. And if this becomes a negative memory, it's going to be hard to keep doing this after this week.
Yeah, for sure. I think just again, remembering you've put in the hard work, you've done all that. I also think maybe here is where you can adjust some goals if you need to. My top goal of every race I do, whether it's a 5K or a marathon, is to finish. Because I think it's a privilege to be doing this. Not everybody can, and so it's to finish. And I have certainly adjusted my goals along the way where, I remember I signed up to do a half marathon a couple months after my first child was born, not having any idea how exhausted I would be. And that was a half marathon. And the night before, I was like, I'm going to adjust my goal. And so it was all about finishing. I had to walk some. But I kind of was able to still have fun with it, even though perhaps that first goal I had. So to your point of if your training hasn't gone well or whatever it is, maybe adjust a little bit too. I also think it's fun to go back through your training log and be like, wow, I did a lot of miles. Maybe use your Strava thing and say, wow, I did a pretty good job here.
Right.
Number 3, pay attention to your hydration and fueling. So there's kind of 2 parts to this. So I think let's start with the hydration. So often when you do a race, a normal race, they have aid stations perhaps. There's water, at the start, at the finish, along the way. Even if you're just going for a long run, maybe around the city, wherever you're at, there's water fountains. Right now, there's not that. And so talk a little bit about that, Tracie. How should we pay attention to our hydration and fueling when it comes to race day itself?
Yeah. And what a unique race day we will have this year without the aid stations. My advice to that, and to everyone, it's different. Your hydration, it's important. Nikki came on and shared how important hydration is, but you may, depending on how quickly you're moving, it will be different for you. And through your training, what that looks like. And so plan for something similar. Now, knowing that you're going to have to take it with you if you need the hydration during your 5K or 10K, absolutely. A 5K, you can get away with it, but it still would be a good halfway point. But the most important thing I think here is if you can't carry it or you don't want to carry it because it's uncomfortable having a pack on or carrying a water bottle, look at your course and maybe it's loose. Maybe if it's your neighborhood and that's the course you're choosing, have your aid station be your house and get those sips of water, but make sure that you're doing it. Don't skip if you haven't tried skipping before. Again, it's that stick with the routine to make it as most comfortable as possible, but consider what that course might look like to help aid in hydration and then also in the fueling that we'll tackle as well. For a 5K, you don't necessarily, but again, it's timing. And Nikki shared that about 45 minutes in. So based on your timing, if you're going to actually need a fuel or not. So our 5Kers, yeah, you could wait and enjoy a pancake breakfast if you do it in the morning or something like that afterwards. But the 10Kers may want to consider something as well based on what Nikki's offered in the past.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know that for a 5K it's necessary, but everybody's different. Do what you're used to, and to that point, do what you're used to. So don't try something new, on Saturday or Sunday morning this week, and you're like, ooh, I'm gonna try eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich halfway through. That might be a fun treat. So stick with that. I also think, make sure that you're getting enough fluids and healthy foods leading up to your event, and just kind of really paying attention to those things, I think is important. Nikki mentioned, the diarrhea dietitian talked a lot about GI distress and how awful that is. Number 4, Tracie, this one is perhaps less important because I don't know how many people are really working. So number 4 is smart pacing is the key to a good race. And we certainly want people to finish as fast or as slow or however they want to finish. And all I would really say on this point is that have an idea in your mind, okay, I think I want to run this in 30 minutes or 45 minutes, or I want to walk this in an hour, whatever that is, and then figure out what is that per mile. And then just kind of try to stick with that pace. I think sometimes it can be really hard if you don't have a plan, and so you just go out, you're running or you're walking and like, oh, I feel so good because you're maybe hyped up from race day, and then you get halfway through and you're like, this was a bad idea, and you end up kind of, just kind of doesn't end well. Has that ever happened to you, Tracie? Have you ever started too fast? And I know I certainly have.
Yeah. I mean, on my 50K, I started too fast. I
Yeah.
was super nervous.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But everyone does it. I think if you've ever participated in any event like this, the adrenaline gets going and you start out quickly. So you just, pay attention to your breathing. And I just encourage you to decide before if what you're doing is for a pace or if what you're doing is to finish your goal. And we're going to have a mix of all that. We're going to have people here that are doing a 10K and, it's important to them. They have goals. A lot of times individuals doing our 10Ks are more experienced. And so they, are tracking where that is and have certain goals. Our 5Kers also have goals, but a lot of them are not pace related. And I think that that's kind of where a lot of the fun can come in. So it's easier to have fun when you're not placing that pressure on yourself. And so it's important if you are pacing yourself for a certain time, that's amazing. I love it. It's great challenge to be able to do that. Just don't get discouraged. One, if you're off pace, appreciate what you're doing. But to just be mindful and kind of just be careful of how you're starting. And this will be different too, because you don't have a starting line with a countdown and a gun going off and all of that adrenaline of all these people around. So it's there's this interesting situation where you've got to amp yourself up a little bit too. For this, because it's not going to be happening automatically for you. So get going, get excited, but settle in and find that pace that works well for you. Because remember, every day can be different. Maybe last week when you were doing a 5K distance and you've tapered off, you may not hit that same mark for your goal event, but just finish and be super happy, high five, smiles, celebrate that you crossed that finish line.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there's part of this, like you said, where there's not a big starting line. There's not, a band, all that stuff playing. You're just on your own, or maybe you're meeting a friend. But I do want to add, Tracie, I don't know if you have seen this, so I'm sharing a link here in the chat. We found the service called Motigo, and it's free, and you have to download an app to your phone, but you can send it to friends and family members, and they can record some kind of like motivational message or something. And then I don't exactly know how it works, but you like put your race distance in there. So you search by, I think, if you type Providence, follow your heart, you'll find our event, the 5K or 10K. And then as long as you have the audio, they'll like actually, while you're running or walking, these voices will cheer you on. So it's a really cool little virtual thing virtual add-on that we found that I think is going to be really really cool. I'm going to get all my kids to do it for me for my 10. I'm going to do the 10K, and I don't know, I'll probably start crying when I'm running, but it's going to be really cool, I think. So I encourage you to check that out. Again, you have to it's all free. You have to download an app to your device, and it's pretty cool. The last thing I just want to mention on number 4 was make sure you get in some type of a dynamic warm-up. Even if you're just out there to finish, you have no idea what pace is, don't want to do that, just warm up anyway. There's some great dynamic stretches and warm-up routines that Eric has through the portal, and I do that on just a casual run with my daughter and the baby jogger, because I just feel so much better doing that. So I'd highly encourage that. And then the last one, number 5, have a plan for what's next. This isn't like one of those infomercials where we're trying to upsell you to the next thing, because there's not a next thing per se. But I think it's so important that as we think about fitness for life, as we think about being active, that as one chapter is coming to a close here in season 9 of Heart to Start, that we start thinking about, well, what is next? How am I going to continue to be active? How am I going to keep my body moving? Are there other events I can sign up for? Are there other training plans I can do? Tracie, you mentioned some awesome things with Basecamp. Is there one or two of those options that you would say is a great thing that folks should check out here? I just
If I
put
were
you on the
going to
spot.
pick my favorites, well, I would definitely say a couple of things with what we can offer through Basecamp and then what is also available on the community. And so I would highly encourage, if you've been getting this movement in and it's walking or it's running, is looking at some cross-training options that could complement. So our 10K group that followed that training plan got introduced to a lot of that. Our 5Kers, we, really focused on the consistent movement of walking and running. And so it might be a good time to add in some additional layers into that training plan to keep your body healthy. And it also just supports an overall great cardiovascular routine. But I would highly recommend trying yoga. Really, it's great deep stretch. It clears the mind. So even if you're it's a day where you're just doing yoga, or it's been a tough day, or you had a hard training week, who knows what it is, that yoga can really help settle the mind and stretch the bodies a lot. So I would recommend that, but also strength training. And we've got a couple of options available for that. And know that all of our classes are virtual right now. So when we're talking about trying any of these movement activities, we're talking about what you can do from home. And so you really don't have to have a lot of equipment on hand to do it. So we've got Movement Monday series, which is actually a video series that's posted on our website and on our Facebook page every Monday morning, which is a super short strength training video that is added to conducted by our personal trainer, certified personal trainer with the Fit Project, and she offers that. And then we also have HIIT, so it's high intensity interval training, which we just launched in January with one of our amazing instructors, and that's really popular for a quick 30-minute strength training and some cardio. I will say that happens there, but it's some great strength training. So those are a couple of the highlights from that additional movement and cross training that I would suggest. But on that same note, and what we've talked about with Heart to Start for the past couple of years is making sure that participants know that the community has a lot to offer in terms of what happens outside of the 3 months that we're together. And it's kind of how we built this relationship with Oregon Brewery Running Series as a great example in terms of what they offer. Really perfectly, we fit right in their downtime for their regular training season. Yeah. So as soon as we exit in February from our goal event, Oregon Brewery Running Series is then starting theirs. And so they offer a wide range of opportunities all the way until November of the next year of 5K opportunities that you can participate in. I don't know, Nathan, if you guys do longer distances or is it just mainly 5Ks?
Yeah, it's just mainly 5Ks, and thank you so much for that that setup there. Yeah, we normally do 5Ks. This last year we actually had our first we were going to have our first half marathon. It was going to be, we were partnering with the Portland Marathon to do a half marathon team that wasn't one of our events, but we had, I think, 30 people signed up to run it with us. Of course, we couldn't do that because it was canceled. But normally our season kicks off this weekend. What we're kind of working out is what would it look like to do another 12-week training program. And then right now, I believe May 1st, if that's that first Saturday, is kind of our first date that we're looking at to do in-person events. We have had such a difficult time working with breweries just because, they're having a tough time with different requirements with the state and figuring out like what is safe and what does that look like with opening and having an event. So I know May 1st seems like a long way away, but it'll go quickly. And so if you're interested, you can send me an email, nathan@breweryrunningseries.com, and we're going to maybe take a week or two off and then essentially kind of redo this 12-week program. And maybe you can readjust some goals, do something else. We probably won't have as much in terms of, the weekly chats like this, but I'm looking at the chat chat log here, and it looks like there's a bunch of people who would love to find a way to get more connect with people. So maybe we can even talk about that. But normally we have 24, 25 events a year. So as Tracie said, like this partnership was really born to say, hard to start, you can kind of fill in our gap when we don't have anything, and then we'll fill in your gap when you don't have anything. So so stay tuned, I guess is what I'm what I'm saying. Dr. Beckerman, hello.
Hey,
How's it going?
I'm doing great. I've just been sitting quietly and learning from both you guys, but I just wanted to echo the thanks to you and to Tracie for an incredible season, a very special and different and unique season. And also just to thank everybody out there for trying us out and for joining us week after week on this video podcast, which was just beautifully executed from your incredible closet studio. And just a huge thanks to Tracie. I mean, I think that everybody who knows her knows how much heart she has for this program and what she brings to it, and she certainly makes it better. And so it's so awesome for me just to hear her tell her story, because I've been kind of here alongside her for all of it, and so super appreciative. And I just want to thank everybody. It's so kind of you all to spend the time with us this season. Your posts on Facebook are so awesome, and I'm just proud of everybody, and really glad for the opportunity to partner with you, Nathan. So thank you.
Absolutely, the honor is all mine. I'm just so excited to be a part of this and hang out with you guys from my closet office every week. So thank you. Tracie, take us home. What do you want to leave us with here?
Yeah, to catch myself after that impromptu share with Dr. Beckerman, because I respect and appreciate him so much. And just to reiterate this, it's been a very fun season. I'm almost at loss of words. This doesn't happen often, but it's been amazing to see the growth and get to know more people and let people experience this uniquely to what I experienced, that they got involved and that they've taken something from it, and that the hope is that they will carry this on with them. And no matter what that looks like, there's a piece of something they'll take from this program, no matter what it is. And that means a lot to us, that we get to be part of their life and this memory. And regardless if they come back and join us next year, or they stay and join, or don't, do or don't, it's that you came here this one season and participated with us. So if I was going to leave on a note, and trying to keep it short because I know, I want to be respectful of time, it's just there are two things I leave with people often. And one is that you're stronger than you think. And go with that, remember it, and know that regardless of how hard it might get on the course, no matter how hard it might be to stick with this after, when you don't have this community on a weekly engagement, no matter what, you're stronger than you think. Goals can be intimidating. Just believe in yourself and have that confidence, and stay the course with what your goals are in that path. The other one is that, and this one I had embroidered on the inside of my son's baseball glove, because it's very important, and it's never give up. Never give up. Again, no matter how hard it gets. And that comes from a place of a lot of what I've experienced. To go and do a 50K, which is a phenomenal, I loved it. I cherished every moment of it. But to get injured from that and not start my next 50K because of the injury, and trying to find that place to go from this endurance running down to it hurts to run a 5K, and going through all of the therapy and conditioning is to get me back to where I want to be. Don't give up on it, and just stick with it. I mean, I joked with Nathan about this story, and I call it a tragic love story of my running, because I love it so much, and I want it to love me back as much as I love it. And that's the drive. That's what you find, what that passion is. And if it's not running, it's walking. If it's not walking, it's something else. But that take that energy that hopefully we've helped light the fire and kind of bring to the forefront for you, and enjoy that in whatever that is. But let's definitely use that for the goal event that's coming up here. Don't give up. You're stronger than you think. And let's finish this strong this week.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, everyone, as you know that we've done here, thank you so much for being part of it. Thank you for listening to the LubDub. Thank you for being here
very important
tonight for the last
very
12 weeks. Thank you so much, everyone. Good luck this weekend. Carol, have a great dinner. Have a great dinner, Carol.
Thank
See
you.
everybody. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Be active. Have fun and give back.